right now, we have a lot of different use cases for native assets on Cardano. And it's not as straightforward as it is on other chains where we can look at a contract and say, that's the type of token that this is, and this is how we treat it. So to that end, what I've done is developed this CIP, Cardano Improvement Proposal, that aims to be more explicit in terms of registering what different feature sets a token should have or support, allow dynamic updating even after native scripts have become locked and no new tokens can be created underneath them, still give the project creators an opportunity to update and change things like names and logos and badges and things like that, social media handles, and put this information on chain, because right now, historically, what we've had is a lot of off-chain separate people running separate databases to try to kind of aggregate all of this information, and having good kind of condensed amounts of information on chain is good for everybody, because we can look at a single source of truth and determine that is a valid update versus just kind of taking the trust me bro stance that we have currently. That's where this idea came from, of explicitly declaring the feature set that tokens under a policy should support. Does this policy support CIP 25? Does it support CIP 68? Is it a fungible token policy? If we can declare that on chain, then downstream explorers know exactly what they should be looking for and how they should be behaving. Like right now with CIP 68, one of the big problems of support is this a CIP 68 token or not? I don't know. I have to parse the asset name and then go and look and see if it has a reference token, and then fail over to CIP 25. So hopefully this new standard, the idea is that you would already have observed that there's a registration for the policy ID that says these are CIP 68 tokens, or these are CIP 25 tokens, and you can take action accordingly to show the proper information. And the other part of that is that we might have new standards in the future that we want tokens to be able to support. Things like fence maker and equine's metadata update Oracle standard, right? Maybe we want to use that for our tokens that were minted 2 years ago under a locked policy. Luckily, this new standard should allow us to just say, hey, here's a new registration for this policy, and now we support this Oracle standard. So be on the lookout, and here's the address we're going to use for Oracle. So again, we have a trusted, verifiable on-chain source of truth rather than trust me, bro, to say, what sort of features and tools should we be applying to any given tokens on chain as we see them. And then, yeah, I mean, it gets into fungible tokens as well. Right now, a lot of NFT projects have things like fungible tokens. So a lot of people are probably familiar with the Cardano Token Registry, which is essentially a GitHub repository currently managed by Cardano Foundation, that if you want your token to have decimals, you have to do a pull request and have it approved by somebody at Cardano Foundation into a GitHub, so that wallets actually know that you have 2 or 5 or 6 or 27 decimals in your token. This standard, again, allows us, even with historic locked policies like the LQ tokens that were minted right at the start of the Shelley era, we can actually go back, assuming that projects have maintained their policy keys, they will be able to issue an on-chain registration and potentially get away from this GitHub source of truth and centralization that we have, and put it all on chain. And that's really the big area of improvement that we see for fungible tokens in addition to non-fungible tokens. Oh, I guess I should say that's one other point of contention that I wanted to accomplish with this CIP is eliminating a lot of data redundancy that we see in the metadata of tokens on chain. There, and unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about the old stuff. But historically, people, particularly using like CIP25, have had to include things like, hey, here's the name of the collection, here's the name of the artist, here's a link to our Twitter or our link tree or our website in the metadata of every single token, meaning that that information is repeated 10,000 times on the blockchain. And if we look at Husky, we have like 420,000 different copies of some of the data that's exactly the same. Whereas the CIP allows us to put all those things at the top level and say everything under this policy links to this social media. So we actually save in the long run a ton of bytes when we extrapolate removing a single URL from every token under every policy that exists. I think we're currently at 8 or 9 million individual tokens with, I think, 50 to 60,000 different native asset policies out there. Specifically that have NFTs and metadata on them. So if we could remove, say 50 bytes from each one of those, the ledger size would actually be pretty substantially smaller than what it is today. So that's the other major driving rationale here for this CIP.